That project was like a team of probably around 50 people, and it took them months to make that project. So you can prompt the perfect image, but can you actually prompt an emotional reaction from somebody? Let's talk about it. I'm Katya Alexander, and this is Real Intelligence, the podcast where we talk about all things AI. I've been a producer in the indie world for 10 years. I've sold films to Abamarama and IFC. I've had movies on Hulu. I worked on the Las Vegas Sphere. I've done a lot of really amazing things that I'm super proud of, and I want to use my experience to help people. I also have a weekly newsletter where we talk about all of the AI news, some of which I'm getting directly from the source, so you can be one step ahead of everybody by signing up for the newsletter. The link to sign up is in the description below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe and comment all the things that help the algorithm and help me. Thank you so much.
Real intelligence leading the way. AI insights, it's what you crave. Real intelligence, turn up the light. Stay informed all through the night.
So let's talk about storytelling, filmmaking, and AI, a big philosophical concept. So there are times when these AI tools make it so easy to make a movie that some of the skill within filmmaking is kind of lost in the process. I do really love how people can start making their dream projects using AI, and like people can start joining the film industry using AI, but there are skills that you have to develop. Like, you do need to be a good storyteller. You do need to understand editing in some way. You do need to understand what the story is, how to tell the story, and how to get an emotional response from your audience. And AI can't do that for you. One of the really big examples I have of this is there are just so many movies out there, AI movies, where it's sort of just an image that was put through video generation software, and then like there's a voiceover over it. So it's just like, in a world where robots are made of trees, and then it's just like images, and the images are sort of just like moving like this. They're not even really moving in the way that you would expect them to move, like when it comes to B-roll and all that type of stuff. There's also programs that you put a prompt in and you get a whole finished thing out of it. And you can see that. Like, every time somebody sends me an AI film that they made because they want to get my opinion on it and they potentially want to work with me, I can see how much effort the person put into that film, as well as how much filmmaking skill the person has. There's a difference between making content and making a large volume of content and making quality content. I have friends that made this animated short called Kuzco, which ended up going viral and it did really, really well. That project was like a team of probably around 50 people, and it took them months to make that project. So even though they used AI, it wasn't like they typed in a prompt and the whole movie was made. So many people worked on it. Animators and designers and producers and a director. I mean, there was a massive team around this project to make it happen, because sometimes for certain projects, that is what it takes. You don't need to have a massive team, but of course, the smaller the team, the longer sometimes something takes. Like for myself, I make projects by myself, and it can take me months to make a short film that it might take a whole team like a week to make, just because I'm doing everything on my own and I have a full-time job and I have all these other things, so I'm just kind of working on it in my free time here and there. But one of the cool things about the AI tools is I can do that. I can make a movie that I'm just working on in my free time here and there, and then after a couple months pass, I have a really cool movie that I'm happy to show everybody. What does get me super excited are people that are amazing storytellers and are using AI tools to tell this very specific story, and they have a specific message and there's a whole thing they're trying to communicate. I love that. So I interviewed Quinn Halleck a while ago. We talked about his project Sigma 1, which is out now, and this is such a great example of it. So he used AI to do facial replacement so that this one character's face was constantly changing. But Quinn Halleck is an amazing writer. He's an amazing director. He's an amazing storyteller, and he's been doing all these things long before AI even came into the picture. So when AI did come into the picture, he sort of was like, okay, how can this enhance what I'm already doing and the skills I already have, instead of like, how can I just like not put effort in anymore? And you can see that when you watch his stuff. You can see the amount of effort and skill put in, and then you're like, oh, what a really amazing effect he was able to do with AI. I think Paul Trillo, who made Kuzco, is another great example. He has an idea and he has a message and then he uses AI to make it happen. It's not the other way around. He's not just like, what does this tool do? Okay, I'm going to make a video using this tool. I think also people overestimate how much work the AI is doing in some of these larger projects. So Kuzco was mostly a style transfer process. They still had animators animating the whole thing. They still had animators designing the style of it. And they just were able to use AI to do some things faster and a little bit easier. They literally hired an entire animation team that you would hire to do any other animated short film. That team loved these tools. They were like, oh my God, I can just do this? That's amazing. And they were super excited about it. Same thing with Quinn Halleck when it comes to his project Cultural Connections or Sigma 1. It's not about the AI or the tools he's using. It's just the story he's telling. And it's really, really interesting to watch. I would watch it if it wasn't made with AI. If you want to become an AI filmmaker and you want to make really amazing films and you finally can because you have all these tools and these tools give you access, let me tell you where to start and how to do this journey and how to make actually really good films. The first step is within the writing. Actually write a script, just like any other process. If I'm talking to a writer about writing a script, the biggest advice I give them is get feedback from people, work on this script, write multiple drafts. Don't just spit something out. What you can use AI for in that process is brainstorming and asking you questions and helping you develop this idea. I use ChatGPT to develop all of my writing ideas. I'm writing a book right now. It's helping me with that. Whenever I'm writing a script, I always am like, okay, ask me 50 questions about this script. And then I answer all the questions. And then I'm like, okay, now that I've answered all these questions, like ask me 50 more questions. And it'll ask me more questions. And I'm like, okay, now that I have all this, like make me an outline. And it'll make me an outline. And then I'm like, okay, reading the outline. I'm like, okay, like some of the parts of the outline aren't working. Like let's work together to fix this. So AI is not even doing any of the creative work. It's just like asking me questions and then organizing all of my thoughts. Basically, it's like a 3-hour brain dump session that AI organizes in the end. And then I'll usually make a GPT of that project with all of the prompts I used, with the outline that has come out with any draft of the script, and I program a GPT that is based only on that script. So in the future, whenever I have a question about the script or I want to do more work on the script, I just go to that GPT. While you're writing the script, send it out to people and get notes and get feedback and then edit it and edit it and edit it until it's polished and good and you are happy with it. You are telling a story, you have interesting characters, like we are interested in what you have to say and you have something to say. Figure out what that emotional core is before you're even figuring out like the AI tools and like all the AI that's going to be involved in it. Now, if you are a one-man band, like I usually am, there are so many skills that are going to have to go into making your movie. So if you think about it, if you're a one-man band, you're going to have to be a production designer because you're going to be using AI to design all your sets. You're going to have to be a casting director because you're using AI to design what all the characters look like. You're going to have to be an actor because you're going to be motion capturing your own face and your own expressions. You are going to have to be a director because you're going to have a very clear vision of exactly what you want. You are going to then have to be an editor. You are going to have to be your own VFX soup. You're going to have to do everything. And these are all separate skills. Usually in the film industry, you would hire somebody different to do each of those jobs. And with AI, you are allowed to do all of those jobs. Is one of the reasons why I don't think AI is going to be implemented into the film industry as much as people think it is. In the actual larger scale of the film industry, just because there's AI tools out there doesn't mean a director is going to lock themselves in a dark room and do all their VFX all of a sudden. You're still going to hire a VFX soup. You're still going to hire a full VFX team. It's just those people might be using the tools to do their VFX, which is honestly pretty cool. But if you want to be a one-man band, or you have to be, like for me, I have to be a one-man band when I'm doing a personal project because I can't afford to hire a bunch of people on all of my little ideas that I have. In my work, when I'm actually producing something and I have a budget, of course I hire as many people as I possibly can all the time. But if I'm making something in my bedroom, I'm making something in my bedroom, and there is no room in my bedroom for more filmmakers, unfortunately. So what I suggest you doing is studying those roles the way a person who does that job would study those roles. Like watch amazing movies and take note of how they're edited. Take note of what the shots look like. Take note of the pacing and the script and like why you like those characters. Watch the greats and learn from them. There's also a ton of YouTube channels out there that talk about editing, that talk about directing, that talk about acting, and you can watch and study from each of these different channels to further develop your craft. You don't have to go to film school, but you do have to learn still. The learning part is not taken out of it, and you can't pretend that you already know everything. I've been doing this for 10 years and I still barely know anything. I'm still scratching the surface because there's so much to learn. So don't approach all these jobs like, oh, this is just gonna be easy because I'm just gonna use AI. Approach these jobs as a master of the craft, and approach your project as a project that you care about. You want to say something. You want people to watch it and to enjoy it. The other thing that's really impressed me with some of the filmmakers that use AI right now, I'm not going to call them AI filmmakers because one, I know that they make a lot of projects without AI, and two, I don't believe in AI filmmaker. You're a filmmaker or you're not a filmmaker. AI is just a tool. But one of the things that really impresses me about different filmmakers that use AI that are like some of the greats right now is that they don't just sit there and think of a tool and then use the tool how it's supposed to be used. They're amazing at just like bending and breaking these tools to do what they need it to do. Basically, they have an idea. They have a story. They have something that they really care about, and then they figure out the AI, which is amazing for two reasons. One, it does push AI forward because as they're bending and breaking these tools are getting better, and more processes are being put out there, and different people can take what they're doing and learn from it. But it's also amazing because it's not a bunch of images that just move with a voiceover over it. They're actual movies that are incredible, that are amazing to watch. And what's also amazing is it shows people that if you do want to make something great, you either need a lot of time or you need an amazing team, because all these filmmakers, when they've made something, they have hired a full team to do it with them. They've not done it alone in their basement. The only things they've done alone are like the testing of the technology to see if it will work. I think sometimes when I'm seeing early filmmakers, they'll do a test and sort of be like, well, that's the product, but really that's the test. Okay, you've learned something. How are you going to apply it to a brilliant story? That's sort of the next step, right? It's the story. It's what you're trying to say. So as you're using these tools and you're editing, follow your gut feeling. Don't just see something and settle for it. Really play with it and work with it and figure out what you can do with that footage to get the scene that you want. I will say AI does have limitations, and there are times you have to work in those limitations, but anytime I've seen one of the great filmmakers work within those limitations, it's not because they've come at it saying, oh, they have limitations. It's because they've tried every single little thing to make it work, and then they're like, okay, I'll settle for this. And that happens in filmmaking without AI as well. I work with these great filmmakers that are like, I want this is my vision, this is what I need to have. And there are times when you have to sort of be creative and work around it because it's just not going to work out. But what makes them great is that they really keep pushing and trying before they get to that point, before they're ready to settle. I think if you do want to make something that's like very simple images with like a voiceover or with your own voice, what it's super great for is prevising a really big project. And if you want a little bit of that instant gratification, feel free to use the tools at their basic level to previs. I'm just trying to stress that to me and to a lot of the great filmmakers and to the people who would be watching your project, it's just not the finished project. It's the previs, it's the idea, but it's not finished yet. Put in that work to make it finished. I guess what I'm trying to say is that AI is just a tool. If you had a camera, you wouldn't be like, okay, camera, make a movie. You're digital and we used to shoot on film. You're easier to use. Do it. You still have to like go out and film, and you still have to have an idea and a script. You still have to have a vision. The camera doesn't make the project. You make the project. It's also like when we switched from like editing on Steam decks with film and like razor blades and stuff, and then we're editing digitally now, we're doing VFX digitally. It wasn't like, okay, computer, make the movie, like do it, make the movie. Sorry if you can hear outside, my neighbor is working right now, and this is the only time this week I can film this, so it's just is what it is. So the major takeaway I'm trying to say is that just because there are new tools doesn't mean filmmaking has become easier, and it doesn't mean that you can ignore all of the basics of filmmaking. You still need to have an amazing idea. You still need to have an amazing script. You still need to execute. You still need to do all of these different things. And so on one side, people shouldn't be afraid of AI because all those things still exist and you still need people to do those things. And on the flip side, if you're trying to make AI be this very automatic thing, you're not going to make good work, and that's just how it is. So my call to action to you is to go out, watch videos about filmmaking, watch amazing movies, take notes, and start learning the actual craft of filmmaking before you jump on AI and just try to make a project. I also think you should be using AI regularly and just seeing what's out there and doing tests and stuff like that. I'm just more saying that, like, with your final projects or with the movies that you're making, just take that extra step and develop those skills, because then you'll be unstoppable. Make sure that you like and subscribe and comment, all the things that help the algorithm. And so make sure that you subscribe if you like this video, and make sure you like and comment, because it really helps the algorithm and it really helps me. I also have a TikTok account and an Instagram account where I post shorter clips, but I post tips, I post about different apps that are out there. I post almost every single day. And make sure you sign up for my weekly newsletter that talks about all the AI news, some of which I'm hearing it directly from the people, so you're one step ahead of everybody else. The links to my social media account and my newsletter are in the description below. So I'm Katya Alexander, and this is Real Intelligence.